Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. The Mercury Mystique behind me is back on its wheels, and now it's time to do a four-wheel alignment after replacing the rear subframe. The only thing you'll need for this operation is 2 sets of kite string. So I have some binder clips attaching it to the rear fender liner. A couple jack stands work really well for positioning. And a ruler. You will also need some information. So from our factory 96 Contour Mystique Ford service manual that came with the car. I'm in the suspension chapter, and here is the golden information. So we'll need the wheelbase, the track widths, the tread width there, front and rear, and then we're just doing the toe-in alignment. So front vehicle alignment specifications, all vehicles except Contour SE, that's us. Total toe inch, the nominal, and then you have the tolerances there, minimum and maximum, with the minus indicating toe out. Same for the rear. So this one, total toe inch, supposed to be towed in. Alright, so let's write down our specifications. So wheelbase 106.5 inches, front track 59.2, rear track 58.5. The difference in the track is 0.7 inches total, and if you're doing alignment on one side, just cut that in half, 0.35 inches per side. We'll use that later in our calculation. And total toe-in specifications, they give you decimal inches, and it's approximately minus 1/16 inch for the front total and plus 1/16 for the rear total. Now again, cut that in half to get minus 1/32 inch per side on the rear, or sorry, on the front, and then plus 1/32 inch per side on the rear. Pretty straightforward. Those three values are key. You will need to know those before performing this procedure. Now the setup. So I drew it, a little off of scale just to illustrate the point. So the rear tire is going to be a little, closer together. The track is narrower. And we stretched our string from the rear. It's touching this point, and then it stretches to the front and touches a point on the front tire. So you can see if your track widths are different, as most cars are, you will create a very slight triangle with your string. So that dotted line is exactly parallel to the vehicle, and the string will be slightly off. So we need to figure out what that angle is. We don't actually need to figure out the exact angle. We just need to know how far off our measurements will be between the string and the tire to get to the specification. Because if your string isn't exactly parallel, you'll have an error. But if we know the error, we can still get to the exact specification using this method. Now, drawing this triangle out, again, not the scale. So the track width is 0.35 inches, and the wheelbase is 106.5. That's our string. So if we draw the triangle, there's going to be a small angle right here that we need to account for. Now if you look at one tire, it's going to make the exact same triangle, but the length is just going to be 20 inches. That's just, tire, the width of the whole wheel. That's what we're going to measure. So the unknown here, our error, X, I marked right there. So what's the quick and dirty calculation here? Well, it's just the ratio. X is going to be proportional to 20, as 0.35 is to 106.5. So we can just write that out. 0.35 over 106.5 equals X over 20. Therefore, x equals, just multiply both sides by 20. 20 times 0.35 over 106.5 equals, let's punch that out on the calculator, 20 times 0.35 divided by 106.5. So 0.066, let's call it that, 0.066. And that is, if we want it in sixteenths, which is what our ruler, we're going to measure, on the ruler there. So, let's try 1 divided by 16. That's pretty much, exactly our error. And again, what are the tolerances here? We don't want to go to the 10,000th place. So this right here is approximately equal to 1/16 of an inch. So that right there, x is 1/16 of an inch. How do we use that? So now, that is going to be our error. So on the specifications, so desired measurement so if the string is touching one point on the wheel, there's going to be a gap on the other side. So if the string was parallel, that would actually be your exact toe in. Now our string is not parallel, we have to add 1/16 inch to our measurement. So desired measurement for the front will be our error plus the specification, which is in this case is minus 1/32. Equals positive 1/16 minus 1/32 of an inch equals positive 1/32 of an inch. So that is our desired measurement on the front. Let's do the same thing for the rear. And now for the rear, we want plus 1/32 inch equals positive 1/16 inch plus 1/32 of an inch. So that's going to be plus 3/32 of an inch. That's it. That's what we're aiming for. So that calculation took what, a minute? And this ratio, as long as you know the difference in your track width and your wheelbase, you can get your error instantly. And then just add that to your desired specifications there, and those are going to be our desired measurements. So they're going to be both positive, plus 1/32 on the front, plus 3/32 on the rear. Now let's go to the vehicle, perform the measurements before the alignment, and see how far we have to turn the tie rod or the control arm in the back. Alright, so face your notebook along the vehicle. So this is the before measurements, left and right, front and rear. We got our ruler, and obviously you want to make sure your steering wheel is 100% completely straight. What's the mileage in this thing? 256,000 miles. I think it's closer to like 280, considering the speedometer didn't work for a while. In any case, so on the rear, so it's touching here, and right now it's touching here. So initially, remember the triangle, we want to adjust our jack stand right and left until the string touches one point on the tire, just touches. So if I move the jack stand a little further away, you'll see this gap increase. So we want to move it until we just barely graze the tire. And this is where the jack stand comes in handy. You can really fine tune it. So that's just barely touching there. So while we're here, let's do the front measurement. So put the ruler right up against the tire and look at your marks. So this one looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sixteenths, measurement. So we're going to write that down. And the rear is touching. So that is actually toed out. So we can, if this is way out, the string will touch both sides of the tire, so we'll just write 0 in this case. So on the left side, we have 4 sixteenths of an inch, and on the rear we have 0 sixteenths of an inch. And we're shooting for plus 1 32nd and plus 3 32nds. So we got some adjustments to do for sure. Let's check the other side. Again, same setup. Move the jack stand until it's just barely touching the side of the tire. Right there. Measure on the front. So that one is plus 1 16th. Okay? And right here, it's definitely touching the tire, so that's 0. And just in case, put your pluses and minuses there. So on the right, plus 1 16th, and this is again 0 16ths of an inch. So let's start with the rear control arms, and get these right wheels facing in a little bit to achieve plus 3 32nds. And then we'll touch up the front. So on this vehicle, adjustment is performed by these 2 cam bolts right there. So you see the off-center bolt. So we're going to turn it which way. This is where you have to use your geometry imagination skills. So we want the wheel to turn further in. So an adjustment point is on the rear control arm, so that has to move further that way, out. So we want to extend the length of the control arm. And to do that, this cam bolt has to turn clockwise. And the opposite is true for the left side. We'll turn it counterclockwise. So let me do that real quick, and we'll recheck our measurements. So for starters, on the right rear, I turned this cam bolt 1/12 of a turn clockwise. And after every adjustment, you want to gently roll the car back and forth. Now I know the strings will get a little loose and tight. And we're worried about the right side. Let's see if our wheel actually turned. So let's reposition our jack stand. So this has to be touching. Now our rear wheel, so that moved actually quite a bit for 1/12 of a turn. This is kind of a calibration. Let's see where we're at. So that moved it about 3/16. So 1/12 of a turn moved it 3/16. 1/16 inch. Toe in. We're aiming for 3/32. So we overshot it by twice as much. So let's turn this cam bolt so this point, you know, it's in between here and here. So 1/24 of a turn the other way, and we'll lock the nut, rock the vehicle back and forth, and make sure that's proper. Alright, so after another tweak, remeasure, and we're just a hair under 2/16, so I'm going to call that good. That's about 3/32. So this wheel, we can fix, you know, tighten, torque that nut in place. So I'm going to call that 1. So on the right rear, we went to 3/32 of an inch, check mark. Okay, let's do the same for the left rear. Alright, I did the identical 1/24 of a turn on that cam bolt, and on the rear tire we are now just a hair under 2/16. So we're going to call that good. So here we went to plus 3/32 of an inch, check. So the rears are done. We torque that cam bolt nut down, and we'll move on to the fronts. Alright, so the rears are done. Moving on to the front. Again, make sure your steering wheel is 100% straight and get inside the car. Make sure this guy is straight as it can be. We already rolled it back and forth. It looks pretty good. Alrighty. Tweak the jack stand, make sure the string is still tight. So we're touching the tire there. This measurement should not have changed. It's still about a little under 4/16. And the other side. Again, double check your jack stand, string tension right about there. Here we should have still the 1/16, just about right. So this guy, maybe we won't even touch. It's still within the specification. If you want to err a little bit, err on the plus on the toe inside for extra stability. So this 4/16, we definitely have to bring the tire out, and that means the tie rod has to get shorter. So the inner tie rod end has to turn into the outer. So let me do that real quick. That's pretty self-explanatory, and maybe I'll do it like half a turn, and we'll see how far that takes us. Or maybe we'll start with quarter turn of the tie rod and go from there. Alright, we're just about done. Final confirmation, string is in place. So this is less than 2/16, about 3/32. This guy is just a hair under 1/16, so we'll call that good. This wheel is, again, a hair under 2. Perfect. And last but not least, we didn't touch this one. It's still less than 1/16. So I'm going to call that 1/32. This car should drive straight as an arrow and not wear its tires down. So this was okay. And we adjusted this one to plus, I'll call it within 1/16. So you can see how close you can get with just a string. And it doesn't take that long, unless your car is like way out of alignment, then you're gonna have to bring it in gradually with a few steps. So that's it. Let's take the Mystique for a spin. Make sure it drives straight, steering wheel looks straight, and I think that should wrap it up. It's driving sweet. I like it. Kind of pulls to the right though. It's actually been pulling to the right ever since I hit the deer a few months ago. The front subframe might have shifted a little bit, so there's always more variables. But in terms of the alignment, you know, steering wheel straight, just when you give it gas, starts pulling to the right a little bit, kind of a little annoying. So I can check that, but hope you enjoyed the four-wheel string alignment video. It's a little more exact than the first version that I released a while back. So with this version, you can't go wrong. You'll nail it. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Just a quick follow-up on the Mercury Mystique four-wheel string alignment. If you remember during the test drive, it was still pulling to the right. It still was. And you know, personally, I'm just OCD about the steering wheel being straight, the car going straight down the road, no wobbles, no pulls, no anything. So it was still bugging me. And this pull to the right started after I hit a deer about a month ago. It was, you know, a fairly sizable impact, like 15 miles an hour. I almost slowed down, but the huge deer like was on the hood. It slid off. Luckily no damage except for a couple love marks right there. But ever since then, it pulled to the right, especially when I was accelerating. Why was that? I took a look at the underside of the car and found that the subframe, you see the subframe here, actually shifted. So this subframe is mounted to the body on 4 main mounting bolts, and if you look where the rubber pillow sits on the body, I could see there was a 1/4 inch, you know, shifted over. So from the impact, I guess the main impact was here, so the left side of the subframe shifted forward 1/2 inch, maybe 1/4 inch, and the whole car started pulling to the right. So once I figured out that the subframe was shifted and the car was pulling to the right because of that, you know, I got under there, loosened up all 4 bolts, and used the pry bar and shifted the whole subframe back to where it was originally, just judging by the marks around those you know, rubber bushings. It got better. However, it was still slightly pulling to the right. I was kind of discouraged. Yeah, I drove it for about a month. I didn't have time to look at it. It was just back and forth to work. It was always pulling to the right. And now it got better after the subframe realignment, but still something wasn't right. So I was kind of like, oh man, did the whole body deform or what? As a last resort, I tried switching the tires left to right. And you know what? It started pulling to the other side a little bit. So I was like, yes, it's not an alignment problem. It's not a subframe shifting. The tires, while the subframe was misaligned, actually got a little worn. You couldn't see it with the naked eye, but enough to actually pull the car annoyingly off the road. So just a couple variables. You know, it's not always an alignment issue. Initially it could be, but then the tires could wear unevenly and cause your vehicle to pull even though you reset your alignment and everything's good. So if nothing else works, try switching your tires left to right, and if the pull shifts to the other side, then you know you have unevenly worn tires. So now the Mystique is ready for the winter. It's got the snow tires on, no more pull, fluid filled, everything is good. So hopefully you enjoyed the video and learned something about alignments. And if you're meticulous, you can get it very precise using the string. A little bit of trigonometry if you need to. Do the 4-wheel alignment. Make sure you look up your track widths and your wheelbase and go from there. Alright, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.